to the Be Extraordinary Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, how y'all doing today? Good.
Welcome to the Be Extraordinary
in the meantime,
Podcast.
welcome. Let's go.
Welcome to the Be Extraordinary Podcast.
Come on. Come on. Woo.
Welcome to the Be Extraordinary Podcast. Your song,
Come on.
your song,
Yeah.
just because you are. Your song, your song, believe it in your heart. Ooh. Welcome to the Be Extraordinary Podcast.
Come on.
Welcome to the Be Extraordinary Podcast. Welcome to the Be Extraordinary Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuned in
Welcome
to the Be Extraordinary
Extraordinary Podcast.
Podcast. Let's go.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to the Be Extraordinary Podcast. We are so happy to have you with us today. We missed you. We have taken a 2-week hiatus and now we're back. And I actually like seeing you every single week, but we tried something out differently this time. And we got a lot of feedback saying we missed you. So I want you to know that we missed you too. And who is we? Well, you know who I am. I'm Joetta, host of the show, your 4-time Olympian and health and wellness expert and leading authority on achievement and motivation. And I believe in my 5 Ps. Sometimes it's 6. So this time we have 6. Have a purpose, get prepared, be patient, get perturbed, persevere, and pray. And I use those 5 Ps daily. If I'm doing athletics, if I'm in business, I make sure that I focus on my 5 or 6 Ps. And I said, we miss you. I'm in studio with my host, Tyrone Johnson. Good evening, Tyrone.
Good evening, Miss Joetta.
How you doing?
I'm great.
And you're blue.
Yes.
Nice watch. Nice
watch.
attire.
Thank you.
That's
Yes.
good. So what's going on with your Fs?
My Fs.
Yeah,
My
Fs.
5 Fs.
Your 5 Fs.
Okay. As you can see, my 5 Fs that I live by faithfully each day. I always start off with faith because faith has gotten me through a lot of situations, good and bad. Then it's my family. My family, I love them to death. I go to my finances, always make sure that they sustain me through whatever I need to do. My fitness, you'll see that little ball in my hand. I'm still doing that. Fitness keeps me, going every day. And the last but not least is friends. You always got to have a couple of friends to hold you up, when you need them. So that's my 5 F's, Miss Joetta.
Well, that's funny you said having friends to hold you up. So often we go through life and you don't know who's going to be there and what season and what reason. So I'm just thankful that I've been here for these seasons and reasons for you and you for me. And I am just bubbling with joy, but I'm going to try and contain.
I know you are. I can't wait. It's coming out.
I'm trying to contain myself. We have such good news to share with everybody. But before we share our good news, we want you to know that we are in studio with Bizarre Creative. And I say this to you every single week. We say, please feel free to contact AJ. He is excellent with web design, with photos, with videos. If you have a business, if you have a wedding, if you're trying to get yourself, reinvent yourself for business, he is the guy that you need to speak to. You have his information, just mention the Be Extraordinary Podcast, and he will take great care of you. Thank you, AJ, for all that you do.
Yes, sir, Mr. AJ.
And we have our Joe Time check-in. Our Joe Time check-in allows us to tell you a little bit about what we've been doing since you've missed us. And we also want you to know that when you tune into this show, you tune in to hear conversations with leading authorities that will influence you to reach your fullest potential in life. In the Joe Time check-in, we have positive perspectives. And we're going to just jump right into all this. Tyrone, where did we just come from?
Whew. We just came from Birmingham, Alabama.
And what were we doing down in Birmingham?
We were down there for the indoor NCAA track and field national championships.
That's right.
I got
And
two right.
you got so far, you're doing
Okay.
great. And this is Women's History Month. And even though they were not with us physically, they were with us spiritually. And they were the angels that guided us down in Alabama, and they guide us in our daily lives. So our Women's History Month tribute go to our parents, the late, great Joetta Mae Clark and Lily Mae Johnson. They are the foundations of the Clark and Johnson family, and I couldn't think of a better tribute to do than to honor the women who've given us all the history that we have and that we're going to pass forward.
Yes.
So we miss them dearly. It's been 2 years for my mom on Sunday, was 2 years.
Yes.
And your mom is
22 years for mine.
22 years for you.
And
So
it's a week apart
yeah, we
from
can
their
part.
transition.
Yeah, no.
Yes.
So we have these flowers behind. My mother's favorite color is yellow. And so
And
we
what's
have
the
the yellow.
other flower called?
And the other flower, which you may not be able to see because it hasn't bloomed all the way, one of my favorite would be lilies.
Oh, like my mom. My
Like
name.
your
Okay,
mom,
I'm
your
just
mom's
checking.
name,
You
yeah.
Thank you, Joetta.
You're welcome. So I wanted to put those out there. So we were down in Alabama, and we had those two amazing women with us as
Yes.
angels as we watched Talitha Diggs run in the NCAA track and field championships. And it was an amazing time. For those of you who don't know about collegiate athletics, the NCAA is the final championship for all sports. She happens to be in track and field. So we're going to show some pictures of Talitha. That's Team Talitha down there with her NCAA trophy. Yeah, mom in the middle and Coach TJ, Coach Tyrone, Uncle Godfather on the other side. She's the national champion. She ran 50.98, which is the fifth fastest time in the world. So that's Team Talitha.
Great job.
And then we have the congratulatory one. This is the Joe Time check-in. So we're just checking right on in. We have Talitha up top with the trophy, Talitha
Yes.
on the podium, Talitha screaming because she realizes that she won the championships. And then not only did she win individually, but the team won the individual championship. So that was amazing.
And the last time they did that was 30 years ago.
Wow, 30 years ago.
Years ago. So kudos to University of Florida. Go
Right.
Gators.
Go Gators, chop, chop.
Yes, chop, chop.
So we also have one more thing that we want to show you. We have that picture there. This is something that's really special because 40 years ago, I know you can't believe it because you may not think that I'm of that age, but 40 years ago, 40 years ago, I hear you laughing, AJ, and the rest of the crew. 40 years ago, that day, I won my first indoor national championship. So mother and daughter, we're one of the only people that have done that in NCAA history to win the event, the 400, Talitha won, and I did the 800. You see my picture from 1982, and you see her picture from 2002, and that's me trying to get a kiss from the fence. I was trying to squeeze my big head in. I took my mask down to give her a big hug, and we said a little prayer. So that's the check-in for now. We have a race that we want to show you quickly of her competition. I'll let you do the talking on this one, Tyrone.
Okay, so this was so special to Team Talitha because the college recruitment was kind of tough. You know, you have the top schools in the country, and it narrowed it down to two, and she wound up choosing the University of Florida.
Yes.
And one of her reasons to go there was academics, to win an individual championship, and also to win a team championship.
So here we go.
1 year, she completed that mission.
So we're gonna watch the video.
Oh boy. ran a personal best of 50.88 just 10 days ago at the SEC Indoors, which tied 4th in
I
the
still get chills
world.
looking at this
These
video.
women
My
are
heart just-
so well trained for this event.
Yeah.
Also, Talitha Diggs from Florida, 10th fastest time in the
Lane
world in
4.
lane 4, chasing everybody.
Two-section final. They'll stay in their lanes through 2 turns and then cut for the pole on the home stretch. You could win the title from either of these sections. A little bit of advantage being in section 2 because you get to see how fast they ran in section 1. An early move being made by Kennedy Simon of Texas in lane 3 to try to get that pole position, which she is going to get uncontested.
Kennedy Simon had a really nice first 30 meters. And right here in this race, this is where you've got to make sure you don't fall asleep. You can't get lazy. And if you're going to have any kind of a turnover like Diggs is right now, do it on this straight, not up on this curve.
Talitha Diggs gets into first position. Oh boy, that's a little bit of contact that might cause a yellow flag, but it is Talitha Diggs leading this first section now. Britton Wilson trying to catch up. She ran well yesterday, 50.98 for Talitha Diggs.
That's a personal best for Diggs by a little over 3/10 of a second. And these
And then what happens is they have to wait because there were 2 rounds and they had to sit down and watch this the second heat. But she realized she won, and then she has this amazing interview. And then we'll continue on with everything.
14 for the Longhorns, and John Anderson is downstairs with Diggs.
You just kept saying, I did it, I did it, I did it. How do we go from not winning at SEC and now we're a national champ?
You know, I have to give all glory to God. This was his journey for me. I was just the vessel. I trusted him, I trusted my training. I did it for my teammates, my family, everyone supporting me. I didn't run how I wanted to at SECs, but I kept training hard and I came back here ready to win, and I did it.
Just quick on the family, how as you end up in the 400 with, we've got this great 800 pedigree?
Yeah, you know, sometimes you just have to trust your own path, trust your own journey. I don't want to run 800, so I got stuck in this 4, but I love it, I embrace it, I'm so blessed.
Sometimes half as good can be just, half as far can be just as good. Congratulations, Talitha Diggs, national champ.
Go Gators!
Gators.
But thanks everyone for bearing with us as we did it was a Joe time check-in and a shameless plug.
Oh my God.
It was a
Shame.
combination.
Yes.
It was a combination of both. And I think so often as parents and as adults, we see our kids doing amazing things, and we don't oftentimes have the platform to share what they're doing. And in this case, she is not only doing well in track, she's doing well academically, and it makes us really proud. And so we just wanted to share that check-in with us, and we'll get back to you with your check-ins a little bit later on. But in the meantime, we want to thank our amazing sponsor, The Current. And The Current sponsored the month of April, and they do not have the letter E in their name. Please visit the website, which you see there, thecurrent.com. I have on one of their signature items. It's called the Rewa necklace, and I also have on my earrings, which you can't see. They have a lot of amazing jewelry, so please visit their website, thecurrent.com. Thank you for supporting us and believing in what we do, but most importantly, thank you for making a difference with jewelry and making affordable, beautiful jewelry.
Yes.
And if you can't get someone to buy it for yourself, ladies, buy it for you, buy it for yourself. Go on the website, treat yourselves. It's Women's History Month. You are a woman, you have history, you're strong. So get some nice, cool, feminine looking jewelry to put around your neck, on your wrist, on your ears, and on your ankles and fingers as well.
You just spoiled Joe.
I'm just spoiled. Now we have a gentleman on this next that's going to give you information to empower, to encourage you. Don Jones. He is going to be the next face that you see on the screen. You're going to look at that story that you have up there. I will allow you to look at some of his information, the Verite story. And, he started in retail, and he would go over all of his information about how he got started, why he got started. You see some of those amazing companies. He worked with Marshalls and Macy's and IKEA and The Gap and Target and Fields. He has a partnership with Verite Capital Partnership, which focuses on minority women and the people of color and business and ventures. He is on several different boards. Mr. Jones has appeared on top shows such as Shark Tank as a CEO contributor. He's a lecturer, a motivator. He talks about small businesses. He talks about retail, consumer products, and he's also a contributor to CNBC. And with I can't say more about him. He will come on and say more about him, but I will tell you that when you leave this show today, we always say you have information from influencers, those who know. He is the guru of businesses, philanthropic work, and he is here with us. So please put your hands together, give a clap in the chat, put your questions in the chat, and the next face that we will see will be that of Don Jones. Welcome.
He's not on. Got a pin on.
Don, we have a bunch of hand claps for you.
Okay. Let me see.
There you
Good
go.
evening, everyone.
Yes, you're there.
How's everyone this evening? Thank
Yes.
you so much for having me on. This is quite an honor to be with all of you today and impart some wisdom, but most of all, just tell you my story. And I always start out by saying, I'm more like you than I am different. I'm just one of you. I'm a boy from the housing projects that has done okay. I would like to, first of all, take this opportunity during this wonderful month to dedicate everything that I say to you, my energy, the wisdom I've learned over the years with humility, to all of the women in my life, my personal life and professional life. First of all, to my mother, to my wife, my daughters, to my sisters out there. I have 6 of those.
Wow.
My wonderful nieces, to my granddaughter, can't forget little Jersey, and certainly to you, Joetta, who has become a friend and confidant. I respect you so much in the work that you're doing. It's a privilege and honor to be here with you, and a special shout out to Jennifer Garfar, who is my confidence and confidant in business as it relates to what I do inside of Verite and the Verite ecosystem. So congratulations to all of the women for Women's Month. It's just great to certainly identify and give that congratulatory message to all of you that contribute so much. When I think about the speeches that I give and the lectures that I give, I always think about, it's not about me, it's what I can give to those who I'm able to speak to and speak with today, tomorrow, and the inflection points I will have with them as we meet up in the future.
Right.
And where it starts for me has to be the humility of being raised by a single mother, housing projects, my older brother, my 6 sisters, and how we as a family made our way to what we all are doing today as wonderful people who are contributing in a very significant way to society, and that's where it all starts with family. It starts with your ability to move through in a meaningful way. And of course, it always starts for any of us that truly understand it comes from a gift from God, that we're able to articulate and express and be who we are in the most meaningful way. So I just want to open up with that by giving the glory to God, because we all know, that without the Supreme Being, we can't do what we do, because we got our gifts from.
That's right.
Wow. Thank you, Don, for
Mhm.
that amazing, humbling introduction. It allowed us to hear the humbleness of your
Yes.
greatness, and it allows us to set up everything. You gave us a nice little backdrop, but we're going to get right into how did you get into walk us through how you got to where you are. So let's go back to the early years, because people see you now and our listeners are hearing this great conversation, but they want to know how you got started, the direction, and then we're going to tell them what you did for those various companies, because many years ago, you were the one that put those companies on the map, and you're going to tell us why.
Yes, going back to 1969, when my lifelong plan and was to do the most difficult jobs that so I could prove myself. In 1969, when I started in the fashion business, I started at Fisher's Men's Shoes on Jefferson Street in Louisville, Kentucky. And I was just trying to make my way. And Billy Fisher started me out as a porter and then as a stocker in the shoe department in his store. And that's where it began. And that was the first day on June 13th, 1969. And now I've made my way.
So what did you do? So once you left Fisher, could you walk us through that? Because a lot of times people don't want to go through the steps. You started out in one spot, but you didn't turn your back, you didn't give up, and you learned the business. And you I don't want to give away your story, but if you could tell us more about that.
Yeah. I had a vision for myself. It starts with the vision for yourself, and with the family that I had, with the mother that I had, she instilled in all of us that anything was possible.
Okay.
If you worked hard, if you stuck to it, understanding that, there would be trials and tribulations, there would be obstacles, there would be people who could tell you that you couldn't do it. And you had to figure out, how to negotiate your own path to go to where you wanted to go. And that's what I did, So with determination and tenacity, and with what the fundamentals that my mother and my family, my sisters taught me, I was able to make my way.
So how did you get from Fisher's to the Gap? How did you get to that part? Because Fisher's was shoes, the Gap and things, the clothes, you did such a great job with that marketing. So could you walk us through that piece too?
Yeah, so I went from the shoe store to I went to a ladies' shoe store. Then I went out to the mall and got a job at Loving Hearts and met with Mr. Lee Loving Heart Grossman, who gave me the first job in a men's haberdashery. I was the first African-American to be what is called the front of the stores, selling shirts and ties in the early 70s at a haberdashery out in Oxmoor Mall. From there, I worked at Loving Hearts for like 4 years and decided that I was then going to make my way. And I knew that I needed to go to a broader stage. And I decided to move to California in 1979. And I joined the Emporium Capwell in 1979 on the men's sales floor, where I became then the supervisor of men's suits. I then left there and went to May Company in Los Angeles to department manager and executive training, May department stores in Los Angeles. I then made my way and joined TJ Maxx and moved back up to San Francisco, where I became assistant store manager. And then, a wonderful thing happened to me. I got a call from Macy's, who asked me to come over and be an operations manager in San Rafael, California. I got a couple promotions there, then became ops manager, built the store in Corte Madera, California, then became distribution manager down in El Camino, California, and then a big move happened from one of the most important moves in my life. And one of the things I want to digress on is the fact that every step of the way, you know, I always thought, who could I emulate and where could I monetize my ability, my talents, and others could meet with me so I could move through. It started with Billy Fisher. It went from Billy Fisher to Lee Lovenhart Grossman, from Lee Lovenhart Grossman to Mike Ellis, from Mike Ellis to Steve Morgan, from Steve Morgan to Jeff Fogelman, to John Anzalone, you know, and then from John Anzalone, recognized by a guy by the name of Frank Rutolo, who, when Macy's was being bought out, told me I needed to move. So I moved from San Francisco to Boston. I joined finance in Boston as director of store distribution. That was then bought out. I then joined a company called Leachmere as executive in training. Became
Well, wait, I'm going to have to stop you, Don, because you have gone through about.
And it went on and on and on.
Oh my God.
But to land the plane on this, Joetta,
Okay.
but what I'm trying to let people know is the work of it all and the steps of it all.
Yes.
And when I am talking, what's important about this segment of the conversation is the movement that I made. Of moving from city to city, from job to job, from town to town, and carrying with me the knowledge to move forward, okay? And that's what I've always wanted to impart on people, okay? Is that it is a journey, okay? And at some point, you have to reflect on that journey. And then you go on and you make your steps to ultimately be founder, chairman, and CEO of Verite Capital Partners.
Right.
Yes.
So when you,
Oh my goodness.
when you tell that story about the different people you met and the information that you got from them and how you were not afraid to move, we always say, don't allow your mood to affect your
Yes.
movement.
We always say that.
And so often people get upset or let their mood affect them moving on. And you were not afraid of that. Now, did you have any education in those areas of expertise, or did you develop that as you were going through the course?
No, I told you what my plan was. My plan was to take on the most difficult job
That's right.
in the fashion industry and move my way through and prove myself that way. You know, there was no money for college. There was no, you know, that's not what I did. You know, I could have found a way, but that wasn't my calling.
Right.
I knew very early on, you know, that my calling was for fashion, was for selling. I'm always selling, whether it's ideas or company, or frankly, you know, selling myself in terms of what I do. That's what I do.
Yes.
So when you talk about the confidence, because our listeners, I don't know everybody out there, but I'm sure there's someone that may not have the confidence or the vision to have the victory that you've had. So what do you tell someone that is embarking in a career, or they may have to relocate to what do you give them to help them get through this phase, this stage of their life? Relocating.
Yeah, I think the most powerful thing that you can do in your life is aware. And self-awareness to me is the key to success. And in being self-aware, you have to find your passion in terms of what you want to do. And when you find your passion, you know, a lot of great people have said it, and I want to echo it. You know, when you find your passion in life, you don't work a day, okay?
Right.
And my passion has always been fashion and always been people. And I think that that's the way that you go. And so find your passion and you'll never work a day in your life.
And what was a really good piece of advice that you got along the journey from maybe someone that was already in that realm that you were seeking?
Always be prepared.
Always?
Always be prepared.
Always.
You know, preparation always delivers positive outcomes.
I like that.
Always.
That's one of my
That
people.
is the key. Put in the work. Whether you're an athlete, whether you are an entertainer, whether you are in the restaurant business, where you are whatever business it is, be prepared. And that's what I always say to people, you know, that's the most important ingredient that you can put into the fundamentals of your success.
Yes. And like you said, and your mindset was already on, I'm going to do this. I want to be the best, and I'm going to go directly to that. Don't put me over here. I'm going to keep going here. And your elevation kept going that way.
Yes, yes. You know, and the confidence in yourself to understand that, you know, you're here for a reason. And what are those gifts and what are your passion? And then just move through it.
So I know you have a plethora of discouragements, but is there one thing that happened in the beginning phases of your career? Because we're going to go on the second part of the show to the middle part and the ending, but that discouraged you to the point that you almost said, you know what, I'm going to switch up or change paths.
You know, you will always have those points, you know, and there were many, and they still happen today.
Yes.
Okay, that you can be frustrated by what someone that looks like me may say, you know, racism,
Okay.
or the lack of access, or the lack of college, or the lack of privilege, or whatever that is. You know, a lot of that to me is noise. I always tell people I do what I do.
Right.
Yes.
Noise.
Yes.
We always said, do what you do. You know, you say, there's something, your purpose, your raison d'etre. You know what you do. There's that thing that you do that
Yes.
no one else does, that you do, that you know that you do.
Mhm.
When you find that out, the sky is the limit. So for you, it's fashion. For me, it's communicating. I'm a communicator via podcast, via track and field, speaking, I communicate.
Words
Tyrone,
and numbers.
yes, Tyrone.
That's how we get along so much, because when the numbers that when she came to me asking me to coach my goddaughter, her daughter, and I saw it, I looked at her, I sized her up. I said, this is going to be a sprinter. She keep thinking she's going to be a distance runner, but
Yes.
based on how she walked and everything, my numbers worked. Her words were good, but
Yes.
the numbers worked on that.
And
piece.
that's a nice
Yes.
combination to have. But like you said, know your purpose. This is
Yes.
what you do. No one else does that better than you, so you go after that. And speaking of things that we do, we have got to go to our Joe Time Health Tip. Listen, everybody, if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the chat. When we come back from our health tip, we're going to have you ask questions of Don Jones. And this has been going on great. We have so much more to tell you, so many more nuggets, so much more information. So hang on to our health tips, and then we're going to come back to Don.
Okay, the health tips for this Wednesday is all about water. Joe, why are you drinking? Oh, you got your water? Okay. Now I have my little drink. It's 0 calories, but 90% of it is water also. So the health tips this week is all about water. Water is essential for protection. It protects the spinal cord and its sensitive tissues in your back. You know, so a lot of times when you're moving around and you feel stiff and stuff, a little bit dehydrated, removing waste from urine, sweating, and bowel movements regulates the temperature. The body temperature of our blood is 100.8 degrees. So guess what? The water cools us down. Okay, lubricating and cushioning the joints. Okay, calculating the body water percentage, you can do it in a couple of ways. You can do online calculations, the Watson formula, see your doctor, or invest in the scale. That scale, the core scale, is what me and Joetta have. It reads all of different levels of your body. Okay.
And we're not pushing that scale. We don't have them as a sponsor yet, but that's just the one we use. We're working on that.
That scale is
It's a game changer.
So how do you know when you're hydrated? Okay. Dehydration, losing more fluids than you are taking in. So that's when you're walking and you're sweating, or you're going to the bathroom a lot, you might be dehydrated. Okay. We lose water through the lungs, skin, kidney, urine, and the GI tract. If these losses exceed the amount of fluids you are consuming, you are dehydrated. So look at the bottom. Most of the times we don't even know we're dehydrated. Your mouth is dry. The sun is hitting you. You have different type of symptoms. Okay, your body should be between 50 and 70% of water. That's when you know you're not dehydrated. Okay, signs of dehydration. Same thing I said. Your thirst, your urine color, the output. Your urine is dark. That's when you might be a little bit dehydrated. Your skin, your lips, fatigue, headache, muscle cramps, constipation, lower blood pressure, nausea, dizziness, and rapid heartbeat. When I went through the COVID protocol, my heartbeat would not stop. It was at 100 beats per minute while I was at rest. And I told Joetta, I got out of the hospital 8 days later, and I lost 20 pounds because I was dehydrated. So what do you do when you think you might be dehydrated? Okay, you drink electrolyte water. You can drink some of the things to the left of the screen, Pedialyte, lemons and stuff like that. You can put that in the water and add fruit. That'll bring your levels back up. Okay, Joetta health tips for the dehydration is when you look to the right of the screen, you'll see that thirsty and headaches is only probably 1%. When you're tired and irritable and dizzy, that's 3%. The one that's severe is that 10% at the bottom. That's what I said about me. It was my heart rate. It just would not slow down, but it came back to normal. So look at the, that's important up top too. Dehydration, a low water state called hypohydration. It's considered severe when total water losses exceed 5% of your body weight. That's when you're hypohydrated. 3% of body loss over 7 days is another sign of dehydration, okay? And some of the causes, like I just said, heavy sweating, exercise, skin disease. A lot of these things, pay attention to your body. If you're going through, you're having diarrhea, you're vomiting, you're going through things like that. Or if you have asthma,
that you drink your water and that you remain healthy. That's the bottom line.
Yes.
And that you make sure you have adequate water on a daily basis.
I mean, adequate. You don't have to do the 8 cups that me and Joetta would like you to do, but at least do 4. And if you don't want to drink straight water, put some lemon, put some fruit in there,
Yes.
or put it in a dark bottle so you don't even know it's water and just
Yes.
drink it.
Just drink it.
Right?
Well, thank you for sharing those tips, Tyrone. On the bottom line, what water
Yeah.
is important. And what's also important is that as you become involved in business that you do with Mr. Don Jones
Yes.
told us he's back in with us after the health tips. And he left us with the first part. He talked about your passion. And then he also said he know your vision for yourself. And that when you do that, it gets you ready for the bigger stage and to be patient. Don, while you were listening to our health tips, you had someone talk about you and they said how they were in awe of you. So thank you for saying that. We have a couple of people that want to ask you some questions. But before we do that, can you just talk about your work that you did with the Gap and how you put them on the map? And then we're going to come to a question from Sheila. Did I jump too far? Because you smiled.
No, of course not.
Okay. Yes.
I had a really wonderful time at Gap and the delighted to lead 65,000 people at a time and move that was really important, and it was certainly important that during that time the fashion business was transitioning. And it was great to lead that group and launch what was to become one of the first inner city strategies in all of retail, focused on opening stores in underserved areas around the United States. And that really became, act one in my, my journey towards ensuring that all women, women of color, people of color, LGBTQ plus community, parolees, veterans, and immigrants all have a seat at the table.
That's awesome.
Wow.
65,000 people. And when you say that so humbly, but that is a big deal. That was a big position. And that, I guess, parlayed you into it catapulted you to another level in the fashion industry. Don, is that correct?
Well, when we did what you call line reviews, we as senior managers had a lot of input in what was going to be in stores and what was going to be shown in over 6,000 stores and what wasn't going to be shown in over 6,000 stores.
Yes.
So it was kind of cool to be able to decide, that whether it was going to be green or blue or yellow or red.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool to be able to do that.
Yeah, you were that person. We have a question from Sheila. And remember, if you have questions, please raise your hand and we'll come to you. Or you can put your question in the chat and we will see if Mr. Don will be able to answer your question. Sheila, thank you for joining the podcast.
Thank you. And hi, Mr. Jones. I am so honored to hear about all of the accomplished things that you have done in your life. I'm very glad that I'm on this podcast today and thanking you for serving our community for so many years. And also, I just wanted to ask you, what do you think was that aha moment? And now I know you've done a lot of things in your life, but what was that aha moment? What was that epiphany that came to you when you knew that you arrived? You've done a lot of things, but what was it that really shook you?
It was early in life for me, okay? And I would tell you that it was my first bus ride to Trinity High School out in eastern part of Louisville, Kentucky. And as taking me down Frankfurt Avenue, and I saw all the big, beautiful homes, I wanted that for myself. And that's what motivated me. That was the first inflection point in my life. I wanted that for myself, and I wanted that ultimately for my family.
Wow.
Nice.
That
was a good question. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila.
What do you tell an entrepreneur that wants to build their personal network of influence? How do they go about doing that? I know some people on the show probably are starting out with a new product and they don't know what to do. What do you tell them to do to build that network of influence?
Well, after they called Jennifer Garfar, I would suggest, no, I think that as an entrepreneur starting out, I think that you always have to do your due diligence. You have to understand what is the market.
Okay.
That's point number one. What is the market?
Mm-hmm.
Point number two is what is the point of entry, and engage. Is it difficult? Is it easy?
Okay.
What's the best way to get to entry into that business? And then the third part of that is, am I good at it? Is it my passion?
Yes.
Am I good at it? So those are the three fundamental things that I would say to people to get started. And then, financing and business plans and things of that nature happen in the future. But those are the 3 steps you have to take.
Okay. That's
I think too, Don, when you talk about the fashion industry, you stayed in that industry, but you've also shifted over to your second, I don't know if it's your second passion or if it's just add on to what you're doing with Verite Capital. And that whole infrastructure, did it come out of the fashion industry? Could you share with the audience that passion that you have as well, that successful business?
Well, what happened is that as we had being in fashion, and then after my gap years, I became a consultant, and it all came down to, capital to be able to start or grow or to accelerate your business. And what evolved out of that is that people did not have access. I figured that the groups and the constituents and the colleagues and community served today, just didn't have the access. So, but I had the access, right? And so I wanted to take, what I had learned and the access that I had and the resources I had, and what I wanted to do was to share that. So that became the conduit to Verite Capital Partners, which said, okay, there are many people out there that have great ideas, brands and businesses that should live and grow, and now with the access of the capital and the knowledge and the support and the guidance and the influencing that me and my team can do, we're able to move things forward. And so, and then from there became, let's go raise capital to do these things. Right. Let's not wait until we need the capital. Let's get some capital and ready to deploy. And that's really where Verite took off.
You have a passion toward helping minority businesses, women businesses, LGBTQ plus. You talk about all of that. How did you decide on that group? What is it that sparked your interest to that group?
It came from Shepherd Square housing projects in Louisville.
Okay.
Yes. It was getting back to the community again, I started this conversation with my mother, my wife, my daughters, my sisters, my nieces, my granddaughter, my cousins, and all the people that have been on this wonderful journey with me. And it would end with that. And so when you look at the statistics of how many women-owned businesses are underfunded or cannot get funded, when you look at minority businesses that are underfunded and cannot get funded, you look at other marginalized people who are underfunded and cannot get funded. Well, guess what? I'm not underfunded and I can get funded.
Right.
And so if I am funded and I can get funded, then why don't I use the access that was delivered to me by Almighty God, and why don't I share it? And why don't I help to create a platform for others, to go on the same journey that I've been so privileged and proud to go on.
That resonates with me so much, because if you wrap yourself around yourself, you are a small package. You are wrapping yourself around so many other people to help them. And oftentimes someone gets in your position to help. You're on various boards, you have different contacts, and you are not accessible. You don't want to help. You don't want to give back. As a matter of fact, the saying, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. And there is something for that, but not everyone can do that. Sometimes people need a puff, a little wind beneath their wings. And I think, and working with you, you have been that person for me. I'm doing what I'm doing, but you're able to give me that puff beneath my wings, and other people too that we'll talk about that you've helped to help their businesses thrive. And it takes nothing away from you. It gives you, I think it seems that it invigorates you and it motivates you.
It does. It gives me energy. I always say to people when I first start working with them that the proudest moment for me is to see their name in lights.
Yes.
Wow, I like that.
Yes.
And I'm gonna, I guess with my daughter too, the proudest moment is to see her name, in lights.
That's right.
Yes,
That's
right. I can relate to that as well. If we have any questions from anyone, please make sure you put those questions in, or more importantly, raise your hand, because at that time we're able to see you much quicker. Don, there was something that you mentioned about the projects and how that passion that stays with you. And I think that growing up in the city of Newark as well, and coming through the 67 riots, there is something, there's a fortitude, there's a grind
Yes.
that we have. Some people may call it a hustle, but I look at it as more as a grind. And I don't like to say hustle because hustle reminds me of something that you're getting over, you're trying to get
Yeah.
over, but it's a grind, it's a toughness that we have. So you were in the industry. You didn't go to school for this. You started at the bottom, now you're here. That's one of those rap
Yes.
songs. Now, you didn't have anyone that looks like you. So can you speak to our women of color, our men that are in businesses that don't have anyone that looks like them, and they say that we can't do it because no one looks like me? What do you say to that?
Have the courage to ask someone to help you. Okay. I, on many occasions, would, and no one ever says no.
Okay.
On several occasions, I can remember being in organizations and knowing what I wanted to do. It was always, a proud moment for that individual. When I went up and I asked them sometimes, will you be my mentor? And no one goes, no, I'm not gonna be your mentor.
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
People get puffed up and they get proud, and there's a reason why someone looks at them and says, would you be my mentor?
Yeah.
And people take that very seriously, that you appointed them your mentor.
Yes.
It's a very cool thing to do. So that's the first thing I would say to do. And then find people that you want to emulate, okay? Find people who are doing it the right way, follow the leader in whatever you are doing, okay? Read about it, knowledge is contagious, do it that way.
Yes. And at this moment in your life, when you become in contact with some younger person that almost remind you of yourself and they are talking to you, do you see that determination in their eye and you give them that push, like they want to do it, but they really don't know how?
That is the most emotional part of what I do, because when I am sitting there talking to those young people who look like
Yes.
me, I race back all those years and
Yes.
think about myself. And I just wish I could put my arms around every single one of
Yeah.
them and show them that path, to get and to do what they want to do, and when I look at them, I try my best to just impart on with them. I ask them a series of questions and give them a direction to take.
Okay.
Give them some information to read. Give them some resources that they can look into. And I do that tens of thousands of times a year as I'm speaking and as I'm meeting with people.
I'm going to put you on the
Yes.
spot because you're not going to toot your own horn. You are a humble, accomplished spiritual man, and you're not going to do that. But I want you to tell our audience, the individuals who you've helped, who you've directed, and some of the things that they're doing in business primarily because of you. I know a couple of people, but you share with me so many different women and women of color and minorities that you have affected and have helped. And the reason it's important is that when you have someone like Don has a plethora of knowledge and he's helping people, he helps them at the bottom and he guides them, and now they're at the top in their different industries.
Wow, Joetta, you are putting me on the spot. I'm gonna say, Georgia to my head, not to my heart, to all those people out there. I won't, name names,
Okay.
because I'm gonna really forget someone.
Sure.
They're gonna know.
Okay.
Who they are. But I'm awfully proud of a lot of different people. But I will tell you this: there are two young African American women that right now are working on running companies and are CEOs of their own companies, and that are doing something in a space that I think is extraordinarily important,
Right.
which is in mental health today.
Wow.
Let's just say a real shout out to Morgan Hewitt, and also a shout out to Ashley Edwards.
Right.
And if you want to be motivated, inspired by women of color, okay, you will immediately Google and look at the work that Morgan Hewitt and also what certainly Ashley Edwards are doing
Yes.
for mental health. And at this very moment, I would say to you, of the many things that I'm proud of today, sitting here today, I'm other than my wife who's an entrepreneur, my sisters who are entrepreneur, my oldest daughter who's an entrepreneur,
Yes.
my baby girl who's certainly going to be an entrepreneur, you know, and my nieces, you know, that are all entrepreneurs, you know. I am really proud of Morgan and Ashley. And I'm going to ask the wonderful Jennifer Garforth to make sure that she gets out information on both of them.
Yes.
So that you can all read about what they are doing, you know, at Options MD, you know, out there, and Mind Right. You will, you know, you will all be really impressed.
Yes, I was impressed with them as well. So thank you for sharing that information. I think it's important for you to see someone doing something. And if you don't have the vision that, and weren't so self-motivated like you were, you could look at them and say, they're doing it, you can do it. My mother raised me to say that just because someone is not doing it doesn't mean you can't do it. But not everyone is wired like that. So someone may need to see someone doing something and say, hey, I can do that. So we're winding down right now, Don, but we have a couple more questions. Remember, if you have any comments that you want to ask, a question you want to ask of Don, please raise your hand or put it in the chat. And also, if Jennifer could be so kind as to put the current down, because if you would like to ask questions of Don, you can reach him through the current. That's the CURRNT.com. And Jennifer will put that there, and they'll be able to you will be able to connect with him that way.
Now, I want to know, between men and women fashion, what do you prefer most or gravitate to a little bit more?
I like it all. I
thought you were going to say that.
I like it all. The only thing about women's fashion is, you know, it makes women sometimes, you know, say, oh my gosh, you know, there's a fashion guy, and they sometimes think I'm the fashion police. Yes. And with men, they absolutely think I'm the fashion police. So when you become, you know, do what I do, you know, it's always, you know, people are checking themselves out there, you know, so forth and so on, you know, and I try to be humble about
Guilty as charged. Guilty as charged.
Yes.
I remember some of the meetings, and I did not know initially. I just showed up, but then when I met him, I was like, oh my gosh. So our subsequent meetings, even though I might be casual, you're always like, what is he thinking? It was the combination and all those things. But the meeting transcended the outer body. It was also the inner piece and what we were doing. But make no mistake about it. When you do meet Don, you always I thought of fashion and making sure stuff was right. And I always do that anyway, but I wanted to make sure that I was more on point. And I wanted to be prepared for our meeting. you just don't waste someone's time
Yes.
as well. If you're
Mhm.
going to have that mentor, and if you're going to have the ability to meet, to talk to somebody, be prepared. Don't waste their time. And I hope that our meetings were not a waste of time, and that we both got accomplished what we wanted to accomplish.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes. So Don, we're going to come to a point where we have to wrap it up. But the takeaways that we have with many. We talked about having a vision for yourself. Be ready for the bigger stage. Don't be afraid to move and
Always be prepared.
and move around, and
Yes.
also have the courage to ask someone for
Yes.
help. Do you have anything else that you want to say and to tie this all together?
What ties it all together, Joetta, is that care about people, care about your community. The only way that you can ever uplift yourself is by uplifting other people.
Yes.
I'll leave you all with that.
Thank you.
I agree with that.
Yes.
So I want to thank you, Don, for taking time out of your busy and hectic schedule to be part of the Be Extraordinary podcast. Like I said, when you tune into this show, you don't hear chit chat. You have conversations with leaders and influencers, and those people are here to empower you. So thank you for empowering our audience. As the audience knows, and you do as well, this will be up on YouTube, on Spotify, on Anchor, on Apple. So those various platforms are available for you to go back and take down some notes. If you missed some things, that's where you go. We want to thank.
Joetta, may I just say one more thing?
Sure.
If there's any questions or anything that I did not answer, could you all get those questions to me? And for anyone who asked the question, I will personally call them and answer their question.
All right, so we're going to go the current. Jennifer, could you put the contact information? Now, this is huge, audience, that you have someone of his stature, of his knowledge, of his reach. He told you that he knows how to reach people now. And he said, if you contact him, he will directly give you a phone call. So I don't know about you, but I would be in that chat, writing that
I'm about to
information
chat
down
right now.
and make sure that I contact him, because that is something that people don't do. And I appreciate you and applaud you for putting that offer out there.
Yes.
And I know my audience will reach out to you and do what they're supposed to do. So thank you very much for that. And before we say so long, I just want to say thank the Current for being a sponsor of this show. Again, the Current, that's that water, that's that calming
Yes.
spirit that they provided for the show. They also provide this amazing jewelry that I have. The Rewa collection is what I'm wearing, but there are other collections as well. And I look forward to having a fitness collection, a mom-daughter collection, a male collection from them as well. We want to also let you know that our moms were really important for us, and we want to
Yes.
thank them for truly being the foundation for our family. So for those of you who missed us at the beginning of the show, my mother's Joetta Mae Clark, Tyrone's mother is Lily Mae Johnson.
Yes.
And we have these amazing flowers that are behind us that my mother's favorite color was yellow. And then we have some lilies in there as well, because even though they have transitioned, their lessons are with us. As Don said, his mother's lessons are with him as well. We also have something called Shop Until You Drop. Well, that's not what it's called, but it's called Shop with a Purpose. And I want you to shop until you drop, because the funds from this event will go toward the Joetta Clark Dick Sports Foundation to provide free camps for people in the area in which we have the camp. So if you go online, and we will be pushing this out as well, if you go online, you can shop online if you can't make it to the store. In addition to that, there's a restaurant called The Edge. You can go and do curbside pickups, and they're giving half of the donations will go to the foundation. So if you can't make a curbside pickup, you can tell someone that, hey, we want to make a donation to the foundation, and they will prepare a meal and they can donate that meal. But it's important. We don't normally ask for anything, but we are asking you to help us support people in the community that are less fortunate, that cannot attend our 21st annual track and field camp. So remember, Shop with a Purpose. we will continue to send this information out to you.
So does
that-
the camp really produce superstars?
Yeah, the
Because
camp-
all I know is Sidney McLaughlin won a gold medal in the
Yes.
Olympics, and Talitha Diggs just won a nationals, and they were our campers.
We have a lot of great student athletes that have gone to various
Yes.
great schools. And it's a foundation. I
Yes.
grew up in track and field camps in Newark, New Jersey, and it's important for me to have an affordable camp. This
Yes.
camp is affordable
Mhm.
because of partnerships with the Current, with Horizon, with the Edge and AM Lux of clothing
Yes.
that will have this fashion show. And finally, I say finally, we have a new sponsor that we will have in May. We're not going to do anything in April because we're getting ready to push out our fitness app. But in May, when we come back to you, we will have State Farm will be the sponsor for that show. So in between time, in the meantime, I want to thank Don and
Yes.
Jen and all of you for being part of this show. And please take advantage of the great opportunity you have to connect with Donald Jones regarding, I guess, anything. And he said he will answer you directly. So thank you very much for that. And we'll see you again
Thank you
next
so
time.
much.
Be safe.
Yes.
Be safe
Thank you.
and making a difference
Yes.
in the lives of others.
You're welcome.
Okay,
Okay, good night.
good night.